was thinking back, and I remember the things that I valued when we were first married, or even, straight out of dating into marriage, and just kind of that timeline, our 20s.
So we were young.
We were young, our 20s in that time. And I remember how important it was to me to be able to hang out with my friends, play in my cars. Cars were super important to me. It's like, it just felt like that's who I was. I loved and craved sports cars and speed and all those things that, of course, they got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it was part of your identity back then.
Well, I don't know if it was it might have been.
Part of. I think it was in a way.
Okay,
you know
so
what I mean?
like my friends and those in our area knew because I was always racing cars with friends and stuff like that. So, never speeding, of course.
No, never. Never, ever.
Anyway, but it's funny now when you look at it, and I remember when you were driving my car.
Which one?
It would have been the.
Well, there's only a few I ever drove.
There was a Trans Am and an IROC.
Oh yeah.
But either way, pretty much the same car.
Gosh.
But anyway, and we were newly married, and for some reason we were poor. We didn't have much money. So, but I had that car before.
That was our only car.
It was pre-Kori.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I had it into the marriage too. So if those who are listening are thinking, well, if money was so tight, why didn't you sell your sports car?
Right.
Because I had it first.
You did end up selling it.
I did.
Quick.
But I love that car. It was super important to me.
Yeah.
And I remember at the moment when you had the car and I was at work because we only had one, and you pulled out. It was a little bit of rain, on the roads were a little wet or whatever, and you shared with me how you spun out and slid in a circle or whatever. Well,
Scary.
Although to me I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, gosh.
For you, it was
not awesome.
It was not awesome. It was scary. And I had this realization, and the old me would have been like, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's what you want it to do. That's the fun. That's the fun in it. That's the exhilaration of, a sports car or whatever. And I remember the feeling of thinking, oh my gosh, it scared me.
Yeah.
For you. And I think,
I was pregnant.
Were you pregnant, or did we actually,
because we had the car.
She wasn't there yet?
No.
Okay.
She wasn't there.
So you were pregnant, and we knew all that kind of thing. And so the whole thought process of the things that we value back then that were always so exciting that you feel like, oh, you can't ever let that go. Maybe a good way to frame that is it feels like it's your identity.
That's,
like you were saying.
Yeah.
So it just felt like kind of the root of who I was.
Yeah.
And it was hard to let go. And I realized in that moment, now obviously we got rid of the car.
Yeah.
What did we do next?
I don't remember.
Was it that Nissan 240 SX?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Why did we keep getting these tiny little cars when we were about to have a baby?
We didn't have any money.
And we did it. I can't remember.
Tiny cars are cheaper.
Yeah. When we had that car, I feel like she was.
Yeah, and we had that car like a whole 3 months or something.
Yeah.
And then we realized it was way too small.
Yeah.
What did we do then?
We didn't buy your dad's minivan for a while still.
No,
so
that was terrible.
I don't remember what was in between.
When can we go to minivan? That's bad.
I don't remember. There's been so many cars.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. I
don't remember.
So the point was realizing that change had to happen.
Yeah.
And now looking back, it's so important, to see that embracing change is even more important than the change. You can't stop the change.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that have a very hard time with change.
They struggle with it.
Yeah, struggling, accepting change, and that can be really hard for people. But I mean, you can't, like you said, change happens no matter what. So there's always going to be change happening in your life.
You had an experience you were remembering too back when something was a little bit challenging for you in that moment where you had one of those changes from the beginning stages. Okay, now here we are. And hey, this is a whole new dynamic that you never thought you would experience, and you had to decide, how does this work? Share that.
Yeah, it was just as similar as because we were so young when we got married. I was 19 and young when we had our baby and whatnot, our first one. But I just remember I still so craved the social life and being out with our friends and partying, and just because that's what like identity. That's what we did. We hung out with our friends a lot and just were very socially active. We were always doing stuff.
When we were dating and stuff.
Yes. And then,
for sure.
And I remembered was, our daughter was a baby, and your mom used to babysit quite a bit, so we still got to go out a lot on weekends and stuff. But I remember a party at our house we were having, and I can't remember if we had one or two at the time, but we were so young that our friends were not even close to...
One or two kids?
Yeah, I can't remember exact timeline, but our friends were
second house.
Yeah, it was our second house.
Okay, yeah.
But our friends weren't even married, not even close to where we were.
I know.
But I remember we had a party at our house, and a bunch of our friends came, and I just remember the feeling like, it was something that came over me that made me realize how fun it was, but also it was something like, I felt like, okay, there was starting to become not a gap, but I don't know what the word is, but there's a difference. And I'm realizing, okay, I'm in a different stage of life than a lot, everybody here pretty much. So that was a big realization point for me of the change that had happened in my life, because, I wanted the social, but then I'm thinking, here I'm responsible. I'm a mom and a wife and all that now. So things had to change,
Does it feel hard when you recognize that you feel like it's like, gosh, where did my life go? Or was it like, this is so much better? Do you remember what that feeling was like?
Honestly, back then, I don't know that I was like, this is so much better. I feel like I was so young and immature in my thinking still that I was kind of I feel like I knew changes had to happen, but I felt it was hard because of I still knew everybody was out doing their thing and having fun, and, it wasn't the same for me anymore, or us. It was different. So what about you? What did you said it was hard for you having to give up your car and that type of, crazy boy lifestyle.
Yeah, but I think, my crazy boy lifestyle.
No, you just had fun. You were just...
Well, my mom always told me that one of the greatest things that happened to me was having Savannah and getting married, because she figured I'd either be in jail or dead, one of the two.
Stressed her.
Obviously, I had a little bit of a wild, rebellious streak in me. Yeah. Most who know me know that. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I agree. But I think the hardest part is when you recognize that, especially in your 20s and some of the early years. And by the way, it never really stops. Yeah. It just keeps happening.
Right. And you just realize different things.
We keep going through them. Yeah. Now we're just kind of going through them together. Yeah. But in the beginning, it's like it's an independent thing where it happens to you on your own, because when you come into marriage, you're coming in singular.
Two different people.
And it takes time for a marriage to mesh together, and then you go through changes, and your values will change together in that marriage over time through different phases. That first entry part was like you're struggling and kind of trying to figure out how to deal with that change on you on your own in your own life that you've got from here all the way back to whatever it was.
Right.
So there's some major shift points in that timeline, I think. I think really the struggle is trying to figure out, is this okay for me to let go? Or does this define me? And am I letting something go that I'm going to lose, kind of who I am? Yeah. And who you thought you were. Right. Because like me, I was about the fun. It was fun. Yeah. If it was fun, let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. So that was pretty much me. So when those times happen, it's like, it almost feels like you're giving a piece of yourself away. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, something similar. Like, I also think of it now, looking back, and it was more of a selfish type of way of thinking, because I'm thinking about me, and I'm not going to be able to have as much fun anymore, and that kind of thing. Party's over. Yeah, and it's not like we were some big. It was just socially hanging out with our friends and stuff. Well, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, so I look at it now thinking of, that was kind of selfish way of thinking, but giving up, like it was a giving up of so much of that. We still saw our friends, but it did cut back a lot because we had 3 kids in 4 years, so it was quite a bit. But what do you? I mean, like how do you
suggest, like, how did you deal with? How did you deal with the letting go? Did it?
Well, some of it,
because you've always been a fun,
you don't have a choice.
Yeah, you just have to.
It's like it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. I think the bigger topic really is recognizing that usually when you're letting go, when you're in a season of letting go of something or have an epiphany of like, oh man, that's a big change. I'm not sure I was ready for this, especially in that timeline.
Yeah.
You have to realize, and some don't, that change is good. Change is a good thing.
Yeah.
All growth can only happen with change. Obviously, we can't grow to any new capacity to be parents.
Yeah.
To be more Christ-like or whatever it is you're challenged to do, to be a better business person, or to have more value to the marketplace or make more money. All those things, if you don't have and embrace change. And I think the challenge is change could be scary.
Mm-hmm. Is that why you think people struggle? Like, I mean, we both know people in our lives that struggle with change, don't like change, it's hard to accept change. So what do you think about that? How would you deal with that with someone if you were having a discussion with someone about that they're struggling with changes?
I've had that discussion.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And it usually seems to be when an individual knows that their future is changing based on life phases, but they're scared to let go of their identity because they think that their security is built in that identity, and it really is not.
Right.
It really is not. It's just a lack of experience in change. When you're young and we're coming into marriage, at 20s and stuff, we hadn't had a lot of change.
No.
What kind of changes that were anything of any significance had we had?
Right. Nothing.
So, I know that can be a stressful point. So if there's anybody, like who would be listening now who are in their 20s, the conversation would really be, hey, be encouraged, because, there are good things coming for you. But it can be scary, and it's a real fear for people in that age group because they haven't experienced a lot of those things. In time, repetition often creates this what they call thicker skin,
comfort,
or things that you don't take as serious or as concerning anymore, because you've experienced them a few times,
right? And
that's really all it is. But the folks I did speak with that are concerned and challenged with, the fear of change, it's usually tied to their identity and the uncertainty of what the future holds.
Right.
So I get that.
Yeah.
We experience that, in the future, in the unknown.
Yeah, and I can see how uncertainty for sure can cause, that fear of change and not knowing what's going to happen, with anything. If you lose a job, if you lose someone, someone passes away, there's just all kinds of things that can happen that will cause significant change in your life, and it's just the unknown of what that means, and that can be very scary and intimidating to have to go through.
Well, fast forward in my petty story of loving my car, and again,
you still love cars.
I do.
Always have.
I do. I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
But I had to change the kind of car guy I was.
Yeah, the importance is
to make the better decision for my family.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal, because how do you go from being a hot rod guy to a minivan guy? It's like, oh my word, really? I will tell you though, there's been times when we were out and pulling up at a stoplight next to a friend of ours or my brother or somebody, and doesn't matter what it was.
Oh, it does not.
It was on. It was on.
It doesn't matter what you were driving.
Some things, even though the car changed, the behavior maybe didn't. And some of it probably should. I'm better now. But anyway, it's okay.
For the most part, you are better. Yeah.
I am. I'm better now. So I've grown.
You have.
I've changed.
You changed.
I've changed.
You've embraced that.
I've embraced the change. Anyway, it's fun, but I think it's important to recognize that like I remember looking back, and if I were sitting in that minivan that
oh gosh
was terrible, was terrible.
It was,
especially the first one.
Yeah, that's the one
from
I keep thinking of your dad's.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, the one
Oof.
from my dad. Oh my gosh, he trashed that thing.
It smelled so bad.
But it was like a $3,000 car.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it worked for us for the time.
That was what we were able to make do, and he let us make payments on it, whatever. So it worked. It worked. But I remember, having this moment where you look back and you see your baby's in there, and you just sometimes how you have those surreal moments, and it's just like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And you see, your kids in there and your wife, you at that time.
At the time.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And then you realize, that was a good change.
Yeah.
That was a good change.
Yeah.
So I think that really the conversation comes down to, how do you embrace that? Because your values are going to change, and you have to walk through life knowing that you can't be scared of them all.
Right.
You can't be scared of the word change. It can't be intimidating. You have to look at it from the perspective of, hey, change usually means that I'm coming through a metamorphosis, a reforming of who I am into the next person I'm going to be. Now, obviously, there can be lateral changes, or changes that kind of kick you a little bit sometimes, or knock you down. But if you're getting up, I can't recall any time in life that we haven't had a change that at some point we ended up in a better position that was more valuable than what it was in the position that we were in before.
Yeah, before the change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes sense.
And something just popped in my head as you were talking about that, and thinking back when you're youth pastoring and making that decision to change things in our life, that, drinking and different things, because we were trying to be examples for the kids. And I remember feeling like, what are our friends going to think? And, it was like a big change. I mean, that was a huge change. And it wasn't scary. I wouldn't say scary.
It was kind of scary.
It was more of, at first I was like,
it was scary.
What was scary though? What do you think was scary?
I know what was scary for me.
It was more of, okay, are we going to have fun anymore? Like, my whole attitude was wrapped around, okay, well, when you're going out with your friends, if you're drinking, that's what's fun.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that anymore, well, what are we going to do fun anymore? That kind of attitude and thought, and thinking that it was just a big change, and not really embracing that. It took me a little bit to be stronger in my mind about that whole change, and knowing that it was for the better, and what came of it. But
so, we should probably add some context to that.
Yeah.
So
I know I brought it up. It popped in my head, so I know it's like a big
zing,
thing. It's a big
bam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, it was just popped in, but it's a big change. That was a big thing for us.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was a big one, and it was a scary one.
Yeah.
And just to lay the context, we chose to stop drinking, not because we convicted others of what they decided, or drinking as a whole.
It was our own.
Ours was on a, drinking partying type behavior.
Yes.
And because of the role that we were choosing to be involved in, we felt like we didn't want to be a party example to kids who don't have the intellect fully formed yet to make good decisions that are safe, that are wise, and sometimes over drinking can create. So when the circumstance of I like to drink a glass of wine.
I didn't mean
I like to have a beer once in a while. Who cares? It was in the context of our lifestyle came from, we'd go out and party. We'd hang out at the bar, and we would smoke, drink, and chat it up.
That was it. That was our fun.
It was our lifestyle.
Yeah, it was our lifestyle.
We decided to change because of the influence or potential impact it would have as an example to these kids.
Yeah, that was number one.
Yeah.
And it was a hard
It was super hard.
choice.
But the reason it was hard for me is because that's one of those things, again, that's kind of wrapped up in your identity. Here's what you do. Here's how you operate.
That's exactly right.
Here's what's fun. And then the people that you attract to you are what? Those
the
people.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, you don't go there by yourself. How many people go sit at a bar by themselves?
Right.
You know, if they do, they're probably like your dad. He, you know, loves to visit the bar, but he's going there to meet his friends.
Yeah.
So he's not going by himself. He's just not planning a spot. Hey, do you want to actually go to the bar together? He just knows his buddies go there every time, of whatever time of the day, and he meets them, and they have a drink and, you know, chat about sports, whatever they do.
Did you have those thoughts? Because like I had the thoughts of, our friends aren't going to want to hang out with us anymore.
It was super scary.
And
And we did have judgment.
we did.
Without a doubt.
We did have judgment.
There was strong judgment that came against us.
Yeah.
And some of the challenges were people who weren't, you know, those who chose to have a faith in their life. So, you know, I don't blame them. I don't have any ill will towards them. They didn't understand, but they also couldn't understand. They didn't understand the choice, and they couldn't understand the purpose.
Yeah.
But my heart and our heart was, again, the impact on these young folks because they looked up to us.
Yeah, it was a major thing, a big responsibility.
At that age, when they're kids, you know, youth pastors and stuff, they really look up to, and you could be a real serious, impactful mentor to them.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be able to carry that on my conscience if one of them took the behavior that I was doing and hurt themselves or somebody else or whatever else because, well, my youth pastor does it. You know, one of those types of things.
And remember, we always said, we had that discussion, or you said, you know, it's hard, you know, being a Christian, doing the right thing, sometimes it can be hard. And, you know, we expected some of the judgment for sure.
There's another layer of that. So it also was a value change.
Yeah.
So it was a big value change.
Change in our lives,
in what we changed together. So as we came into marriage. So, I mean, you know, young married folks, it's important that they know this, that, hey, look, you have to do what's best for you.
Right.
And when you see seasons of change coming and you feel like something needs to change, make the change.
Do it.
Make the change. Don't let the pressure from your friends, from, you know, your inner circles, sometimes your family.
Oh, yeah.
Destroy that because this is your time now. You've separated from those people, mom and dad and all that.
Yeah, that's
and
your family.
You do what's right, and your household now should be your number one. Not that you kick those people to the curb. Obviously, you love them and you try to coexist with them, which, you know, sometimes can be really hard for family. But you still have to embrace change.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're not being authentic to you. And we had a whole conversation about authenticity. So if you want to hear a little bit about our conversation on authenticity, wow, it's that run. You know, 9 miles today. It's got me tore up.
I can't believe you did that.
I know. So, and I'm not a runner, so that's the problem.
You're pretty good.
So my body is like, oh. Anyway, catch that other video on authenticity, and it was a good conversation as we were kind of breaking some of that down. It might be of value to you as well. And
also, like, to make a little point to that part of when we had that change in our life and the judgment from some people as the years have gone on, some of those people have come back around and they matured and whatnot, and things are different in their life as well, and they're, you know, they don't care if we drink, not drink, who drinks, whatever. It's just not about that anymore.
No, and we'll spend time with people.
Oh yeah.
You know, who drink all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't care.
No,
I could care less. They're my friends. We love them. It really has no bearing on our relationship.
Not at all.
I also have friends who don't drink, who have no faith at all.
Yeah.
They're just
choose not to.
They're crazy, and when you put a little alcohol in the mix, they're ultra crazy. So that's a good call.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good call. If that's you, don't do it, type of thing. So there's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But it's still something that changes that you have to make. But the biggest thing was the fear behind losing friends, and we did lose
judgment.
Some.
We did. Yeah.
We lost some. You know, but Jeff Henderson, You remember Jeff? Yeah, Chick-fil-A guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably shouldn't call him Chick-fil-A guy, but anyway.
Well, that's how I remember.
He's an awesome guy. And he was basically saying, you know, he tied it to success, but he's basically saying, hey, the people who celebrate with you, I'm paraphrasing, the people who celebrate with you when you've reached success or when you've made these changes and as you go through transitions in life, if they're still there, they're the ones who really love you and are your friends and your people.
Yeah.
So
good.
The ones we lost,
see ya.
Good riddance.
Right.
See ya.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a loss.
Right.
It was just scary because of the change.
We knew that, it was a big change.
But now we've got, quality friends who come from all different walks of life.
Oh, yeah.
And just because we choose to practice our faith, we have friends who are not.
Oh, yeah.
We have friends who are or who do.
We have a big mix.
We have a mix, and that's healthy.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
So, bringing it all home.
Yeah.
I think really what we were coming to understand is that it's super important that you value the change.
Yeah.
And you don't steer away from it out of fear.
Embrace the change.
Embrace the change because, it's the spice of life.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Looking back now to see where we are and the things we've gone through and the ups and downs and, the sharp turns and some of the drop-offs and everything else. I would never want to be the person I was if I had a choice of being who I am now or that person back then.
Totally. And would you even picture yourself?
Heck no.
No way.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I could have never imagined that I would be blessed in so many areas. You know, it's I was just talking to a friend just Friday, and we were kind of hashing some things out, and I told her, I said, it's okay to have a surreal moment. So she's gaining traction on success, and she's doing big things and doing great things, and she's excited, and she doesn't want to feel like, hey, look at me. So she struggles with it, but it comes, here and there, that feeling, and I was trying to tell her, I'm like, hey, it's okay to have those surreal moments of, wow, how did I get here? I think those truly are the moments where you feel, if you're a person of faith, you feel most humbled that for some reason, God blessed your efforts. And I think that's super cool. So some people would say, the universe, blessed you or whatever else, to each his own, whatever. But the point is, I think it's important to see that sometimes because it gives you perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good to be able to see who you were. You need to know who you are now, but if you look back and see who you were, that can be pretty exciting on what the future holds, and it can also be encouraging to help you embrace change, even when you don't always know what's on the other side of it. So I think those things coupled together are just a good tool to just kind of meditate on and help navigate life.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. Just bringing it home.
I don't know if we have anything left on that one.
I don't know either. That was really good.
That's all we got.
Yeah, that was really good.
Well, hey, I am Shawn.
And I'm Kori.
And this is Conversations Left Behind. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, if you've got comments on any of this, we'd love to hear them. So just leave your thoughts in the comment section. Check out some of our resources, whatever that may be. But we would love for you to subscribe and take this journey with us as we continue to leave conversations behind. See you next time.